Hey guys, today we're playing Bully on the PlayStation 2, also available on the Wii and the Xbox 360. The Wii and the Xbox 360 actually have special editions. So, if you want to play the superior version of Bully, I suggest you do the Xbox 360 version, unless you have to have motion controls, which I'm not a terribly huge fan of motion controls. I apologize. This thing's right close up to my PlayStation fan. I have an old PlayStation. The fan's extremely loud. And plus, it's kind of a warm day today, and I'm kind of near the radiator. It's not as bad as the microphone's probably going to make it sound, but I only have a limited amount of wire length, so we'll have to make do. But, yeah, I'm not a terribly huge fan of motion control. And I think, like, unless you live in the Arctic or a desert or something, you can't go outside. Like, yeah, like, motion control is great for that. But if you can go outside, like, go outside and do stuff. You don't need to play video games to exercise or whatever. And holding a wand doesn't really emulate anything unless wizards really do exist, or you're trying to conduct a orchestra, which if you're playing Bully on Wii, I seriously doubt. So yeah, stick with the 360 version. If you only have a Wii, stick with that, but my personal opinion is I don't like motion controls, at least the ones I've experienced in my life. That's including the Kinect. PlayStation Move is basically the Wii or whatever. So this was requested by, I'm sorry if I say your name wrong, BG Anonymous or Big Anonymous. He doesn't have a channel, but he's actually a really good regular commenter, and he should make a channel, whether it's video game based or not, like, because he has a lot of good stuff to say. So if you're listening, you should start a channel. So I actually originally did this once and it messed up, and I'm doing this again, but judging by how well I did the last time, you're gonna see a lot of shitty gameplay, because one of the things that he requested for me when I played Bully is talk about my experiences in school, which I'm not going to go into great detail. I mean, you guys probably wouldn't care anyway. Man, these guys are assholes. He said he went to a boarding school. I never went to a boarding school. I don't know anybody who has been to a boarding school in the United States, but he's not from the United States as far as I know. His page says he's from the UK. I never asked, but since he wants to know what it's like school over here, I'm guessing that he probably didn't go to school around here. Sorry about talking about you, but it's the only way I'm trying to get a point across. So I gotta go up here. This game runs on the Grand Theft Auto San Andreas engine. It came after Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. We were all kind of disappointed we didn't get a sequel to Grand Theft Auto San Andreas on the PlayStation 2. But, you know, this game's pretty good too. This game actually caused a lot of controversy because it was an open world game, and it was made by the people who made Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, and it was fairly close to around the time September 11th and Columbine. When I say fairly close, around a few years. So, yeah, like, having the people make Grand Theft Auto make a game that takes place in a school was pretty controversial, I guess. I don't even think the game's called Bully in some parts of the country. Not this country, but some parts in other countries, sorry. And you have to look it up on Wikipedia to find out what it is, unless you already know, because I don't know it offhand. But anyway, he wanted me to talk about what was school like for me. I never went to boarding school. I don't know anybody who has. Usually rich kids go to boarding school or governor schools. I never had to wear a school uniform in my entire life, and you'd have to be pretty well off, I guess, to afford it here anyway, unless it's different in different states. But, you know, whatever. But he did ask a pretty interesting question: what was school like for me? What were the stereotypes and the cliques or whatever? Excuse me. I just ate dinner. I always seem to make videos after that, so I apologize. I'm not trying to be gross. Anyway,
Take our new friend Hopkins here and show him around the school, properly attired.
Certainly,
as I was saying,
Headmaster. Come along, boy. I haven't got all day.
that like I went to
Remember, you will
just
have
regular
clean
public
nose,
school
so
in
keep it
suburbia,
clean,
and
or we'll
public
clean it
school
for
in
you.
suburbia, you start out in elementary school, which is grades. Well, you start out as kindergarten, which is around age 4 or 5. I started in kindergarten. If you're a little behind or you're a little young, you start in junior kindergarten. So you have junior kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, and fifth grade. In elementary school, you don't get to pick your classes. You're young. You don't know what the hell you want anyway. I mean, pretty much your biggest concern is summer vacation and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, or if you're allergic to peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, how to avoid peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So they basically pick the classes for you, and your classes are basically, let me put this on subtitles if they have them. Surround output for output you guys aren't even gonna hear. Usually these games have subtitles by default, I thought. At least the Rockstar games do, I think. I'm probably gonna be totally wrong on that assessment. Where the heck? Can I not pick them? Doesn't make sense. And they're probably right in front of me. Maybe you get them later. I don't know. There might have been subtitles on. I wasn't paying attention. But this is me playing the game and me talking about school at the same time. That's what was requested, and that's what I'm trying to do. So yeah, as I was saying, elementary school you have language arts, which is English, math, science, social studies, which is history. It changes the higher the grades you go. Like sometimes science evolves into biology or whatnot. So you have math, science, English, language arts, social studies. I believe that's it. And then you have your resource classes, which are, you take a different type of class every day. You get PE twice a week. And then you have the computer lab, you have a music class, and then you have art class. I believe that's all of them. So elementary school's alright. It's pretty innocent, you know. Really the only thing you look forward to is lunch and recess. There wasn't anything too major about it. 5th grade people started getting shitty with teasing and stuff, but you really didn't have your stereotypes or anything like that. Oh, he's getting beat. Kick his knees in. Now I gotta fight this guy. Sorry, I gotta play the game and tell a story at the same time. This is really hard. I failed miserably on it last time when I did this. Maybe that's why the video didn't record. Hope to God it records this time. So after I'm done kicking the shit out of this guy, I'll tell you about middle school. Supposed to humiliate.
Oh, he's getting beat! Kick his knees in! Give him the finisher! Give him the finisher! Ha ha, yeah! Take him to hell! Ha ha ha! Oh, oh!
In real life, his friends probably would have jumped him.
It's your own fault.
There we go. I hope the hell boarding school wasn't like this for people, because that would suck. So yeah, public schools, you just did what you needed to do. You had a lot of friends which weren't going to be your friends in middle school, etc., etc., because once you got into middle school, the groups started dividing. Middle school is probably the shittiest years, and it's only 3 years, of my school career.
Aw, come on.
because I don't know what it is. All of a sudden, when kids hit that 12-year-old or 13-year-old mark, they start to become little assholes. So, yeah, cliques started forming, but in a weird way. You had like your preppy little kids that lived in little rich neighborhoods. Well, rich to us. I mean, there's no wealthy area near me that I would say that's super rich, but the wealthier kids who wore all the name brand clothes, so you'd get teased if you had something from like Walmart or whatever retail stores that doesn't sell name brand stuff. I don't know what you guys have, but yeah, you get teased just for that. Like any of the kids even had a job, so I guess you got made fun of your parents or whatever. If you're too fat, somebody'd say something. You're too skinny, somebody said something. If you weren't into what they were into, somebody would say something. Whatever anybody could basically pick on you for, they would, and none of those kids were like free of something to be picked on. So I'm assuming at every possible point, every kid in that school is probably picked on. As far as stereotypes,
uniform if you don't want to get in trouble.
I don't want to sound politically incorrect, but I don't want to sound like one of those people that are scared. So I'm just gonna refer to the white kids as the Caucasian kids as white kids, the African Americans as black kids. I'm being fair here. So yeah, so like the black kids started to keep to themselves, which was weird in middle school, because in elementary school we all got along. We didn't know any differences. It's like in middle school you started to figure out your identity, I guess. I gotta follow this person in here. Sorry that I'm going around in circles. So people would start to segregate themselves on their own and start to become assholes too if you weren't like in their group. But there weren't like stereotypical I gotta put on this stupid school uniform. There wasn't stereotypical like nerds, like bullies or whatever. I got in trouble a lot because people would try to pick on me. I wasn't on any kind of stereotype
You must be the new kid.
per se. Like I was just like into like gaming and stuff like that, and I got teased about that a lot, which is funny because when I worked at a retail store, hot topic, like with younger people around the middle school age, like they seem more down to earth than what they're. People seem more down to earth than what they were when I was in middle school, and seem to be into all the geeky shit that I got made fun of when I was in elementary school. The only difference between me and a lot of people that got picked on, I fought back. So like if a kid tried to start a fight with me, I would usually finish it. The only problem with that is I stayed in constant trouble, but I wasn't going to be picked on. Growing up, my dad was always kind of hard on me, so I had to take shit from him a lot of times. So I guess when it came to kids, I had a zero tolerance policy, and usually you fight them once, they leave you alone. I'm not condoning fighting, but some in middle school was almost unavoidable. But I would constantly stay in trouble, and you had to be careful because after all the school threats and everything that was going around at the time, they started to have their own special police officers. I'd get suspended on a regular day basis, and the problem with bullying is the person that gets bullied a lot of times is the one that usually gets in trouble, which happened to me. So I spent a lot of time in the principal's office and shit like that all the time just for defending myself. And it sucks because if it was a decent atmosphere, like I probably could have gotten decent grades and it could have been perfect. But as far as the stereotypes go, you'd have the white kids that act like black kids and tease you if you didn't know anything like about what they knew. Like why would I didn't make fun of because I didn't listen to like hip hop or something like that. And these are like kids like Eminem, I guess, was starting to become popular at the time. They dressed like him, going to school with white beaters on, a ridiculous amount of cologne. Whatever they were trying to dress like, they completely failed because they were like trying to dress like the black kids or whatever. Black kids dressed way better than them and carried themselves way better than they ever did, so I don't know what they were trying to accomplish. They usually wear like the most expensive shoes, usually Michael Jordans, or what they would just call Jordans. Have to have like the new one that came out every other month.
That's Russell's.
And
You know.
for the most part, the black kids kept to themselves, but if you were by yourself, they'd probably pick on you because you were there and you weren't the same, so you'd get picked on by that. But you don't usually want to mess with those kids because they'd always find a way to make something
Give me a break.
racial when it wasn't intentional, so nobody really messed with them. We live in a day and age where, like, I guess because of our past, like, white people are scared to say the right thing. Like, I'm pretty careful about saying something on here that's wrong. And you shouldn't say anything derogatory towards anybody. It's just wrong. If anything, make fun of the person as an individual. But middle school was a shitty time. And it was weird because a lot of the kids that started to separate themselves you were friends with. And then you'd have the hippie kids that wore the terribly baggy jeans, usually having a ridiculously long chain on it.
You do know you're not supposed to be doing that.
And you try to avoid the stupid little hall monitor. We didn't have hall monitors. We had one in elementary school, which was so stupid. Like, no kids respected him. They actually made me one time. I remember one kid would actually fight the kids. He got his little badge taken away real quick. He used to fight the kids that didn't run in the hall. But there wasn't like any nerd groups. There's like kind of hippie-ish groups. There's like the preppy rich kids. There weren't really like any jocks or anything like that. And then there was just like normal kids. And I always tended to tag along with the underdogs because I guess they were the most understanding. That was the most diverse of groups. I've always been kind of awkward and eccentric, so I always felt like I never fit in middle school. And middle school is pretty miserable. And it's a shame because, like I said, I think if teachers cut down on some of the bullying and actually paid attention on who was making fun of who, some of these kids that look like troublemakers of failures, like I probably looked at the time, would probably have done well in school. And riding the bus home was miserable. Kids would like punch you in the back of the head, throw shit at you. It doesn't matter who you are. They just did that kind of shit. And the bus driver wouldn't do anything about it because she had to stay on the road. And they said they had a camera, but I don't think they ever watched it if they did. So then you went to high school. I can turn on the faucets. How interactive. I'm gonna be wasteful.
Hey, you.
I had to pay this kid for some used chocolates.
If you pay.
Oh well.
I didn't want them anyway. Such a loser.
This game has a little bit more detail than San Andreas, and I guess that's because they don't have to render a bunch of buildings. And if anybody's offended by the terms that I'm using, I mean nothing by it. I just don't know how else to explain it without sounding like somebody who's scared to say something. So I went to high school. I barely passed the 8th grade because I used to skip school all the time because I hated it that much, because pretty much everybody was an immature asshole and made life hell. And if I was scared of anybody, or I put up with it, but if I fought back, well, you're in trouble, you're suspended. So like I went into the 9th grade, like, so middle school's 6th, 7th, 8th grade, then high school's 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. After 12th you get your diploma and you graduate. So I started 9th grade with a lot of caution because I was used to going to middle school. So went to high school, and I started out getting in a lot of trouble because I was on the defensive all the time, because I was used to kids being assholes and being picked on, and people were cooler in high school. Like in middle school, like if you left your lunch tray, stupid ass kids, like, because they serve pizza and french fries every single day. I don't know why. We had the most unhealthiest lunches at our schools. Pizza and french fries every day. If you had a can, if you left your food for just 1 second, be tampered with, and if you had a can, they put french fries and shit in your food. So anyway, I went to high school, and like, it was weird. At first I was on the defensive, yeah, and you kind of had a shitty time with the high school kids, but since you got to pick your classes, you kind of got to pick your classes in middle school, but in high school you really got to pick most of your classes. You were with a lot of kids at all different age groups, and the kids that are coming from middle school were really mature, but then you were with older kids that were a lot cooler. So at first I started sitting by myself, and then I guess the stereotypes, you would say, kind of changed. There was like the punk rock skater kids, which were awesome. They were probably the most awesome group of people to hang out with, and they actually came to the table that I was sitting at by myself, because I used to draw a lot. Say, why don't you sit with us? So went over there, and don't be late for class. Alright, then I better get going. So I got the sit with the punk rock and skater kids, which was awesome because they were usually creative and into art. There's this really cute girl was sitting at the table. Can't remember her name, but she's kind of dressed like a goth kid, and like had like wore like black makeup and clothes and hair, and I don't know why. I always think girls like that are cute. Alright, we gotta do this Dance Dance Revolution. I'll talk more about high school. Call it Dance Dance Revolution because it's basically doing the same thing with a gamepad. Don't ever expect me to even play that game, because I can't, and I would never record myself playing it. I passed, and apparently they taught him how to make fireworks in school. So the stereotypes is, like, again, the minorities and stuff stuck to themselves. Like, nobody was ever mean to the minorities because, I don't know, I guess they were scared, but if they picked on somebody, it was always some other type of white kid or whatever. There was no such thing as jocks. The people that played football, I didn't even know played football until they wore their uniforms for a pep rally, which was, I don't know if you had them, but it was basically a time where you showed school spirit. Like, you'd go into the auditorium, which is like a stadium. Who am I supposed to go to? Am I supposed to get food? I really need to. I wish I could activate subtitles. Is that on the other side? I don't want to hit anybody with that. What am I supposed to do? I don't come into these problems when I'm actually paying attention to the game. Oh, that's my problem. The subtitles were there all this time. And just my colorblind ass didn't see the top part. How do I get to it? It's a little late in the game now, but that's probably one of the reasons why I didn't know what to do. I haven't played this game in quite some time, so it's not like the back of my hand. If you did that in school, you would be arrested. That's one thing about high school. We had police at the schools, so nobody got in fights. There was virtually almost zero fights in high school because afternoon class is about to start. Well, okay. Remember, follow the bell. Yeah, high school was so big, like, sometimes I would be late, not because I was slacking off, but because of the bell. But Anyway, back to pep rallies. Pep rallies were where you would go into the auditorium. Where the hell is the fucking class? Where everybody would yell and you'd see the football team cheerleaders and all that other crap, and then they'd have dances and stuff like that. And it was cool. So I didn't really get to know people until probably around the 10th grade, because I was on the defensive from where's the class? Well, if you told me where the damn class was.
Not too bad.
I don't like this map system. I'll be late, but whatever. Oh, this is where I gotta do those stupid puzzles. Not that the game's stupid. I'm just gonna have a difficult time trying to do a commentary by doing this.
The curriculum demands that you do these vocabulary.
But anyway, high school was kind of the same. It got better the higher grades you were. People that used to be assholes who picked on you a lot of times ended up being your friends. There's a lot of kids in high school, so is this where I gotta pick out words?
Good show.
Meow. Gosh, I'm gonna look super stupid if I don't know what to do.
Keep it up.
Let's see here. M-O-W.
Good one.
L. I'm gonna cheat and use the 3 words.
Well done.
But yeah, high school is better. The only thing I'd have any advice for people that go into high school is to not take it seriously. It's not the end of the world. Like, there is life beyond high school, and I wish I would apply myself more.
That's right.
I wish I would have talked to some girls. I wish I wasn't so shy. There's this girl in art club, which we had after school activities. If you're curious what art club was, it was like the art after school activities. I'm not gonna tell you who it was or whatever, just in case somebody watches my channel. It's on my Facebook and they might know who it is, but I can't find them on Facebook. Find her on Facebook, I mean. What else can I put? M-O-L-E.
Good one.
Enter. You guys are probably yelling at the screen trying to tell me what to do. Oh, this sucks. Just scramble around. There we go. Ow.
Good show.
I don't think you can do 2-letter words. Oh well, I'm probably gonna give up. But yeah, there was people I would have talked to and stuff like that in the 12th grade.
You remind me of myself at your age. You're so full of hope, so full
Oh,
of
I
faith.
did well. What are the odds of that? But when I went to the 12th grade, I started to apply myself and put some of my artwork and writing in the literary magazines, and it got published and stuff like that. And like I said, there was girls I probably could have talked to, and and stuff like that, and it might have ended up well. And I should have went to the dances that I was all anti. I should study and all that shit, because honestly, when you went to college, like, high school didn't matter anymore. And as far as the stereotypes go, like, you had your skater kids, you still had your preppy rich kids, you had skater kids would kind of hang out with the goth and punk kids. They were kind of in the same category. Somebody would have a garage band or something like that, I don't know. You had your stoner kids and your kids that drank all the time. A lot of times those were the kids that ended up getting killed. Since there were so many kids in school, like I was starting to say before I got distracted, at least once a year you had 2 or 3 kids that died, because there's like over 1,000 kids going to the school. So that was and kids are just getting their license and stuff like that, and discovering alcohol and things like that. So yeah, I went to a few classes where one day there'd be empty seats, and then you graduate, and then you go to college, and then I don't know, you kind of regret that you didn't do more. But at the same time, high school wasn't that important. And when you get older, a lot of the kids that end up being dicks to you end up being cooler later in life if you run into them at the store. A lot of times they'll walk into you and act like you guys were like friends in school, and you're like, I hated that guy. It's super weird. I'm going to stop at high school because I'm going to start drifting into the 20s, even though I haven't completed my 20s yet. I have a few more years to go, not that many, sadly. That could be a different topic on a different day. I hope I describe maybe what high school, middle school, and elementary school was like for somebody who grew up in Virginia. I probably skipped a bunch of shit, but that was my best thing. Oh, another stereotype was what we like to call the rednecks, which I'm probably sure you heard that term. Usually guys that wore camouflage casually, and the only people on earth that would tuck in a t-shirt with a picture on it and have a gigantic belt buckle. They seemed alright. A lot of them were kind of closed-minded, but a lot of the people were. And then you had the burnout kids that discovered marijuana and thought it was the coolest thing ever for the first time, and a lot of times I think they pretended to act like they were high when they really weren't, just because I guess it was cool at the time, I don't know. But yeah, that pretty much covers some of my high school career. Next time I can cover failures with girls, what to do and what not to do, even though I'm the worst person to give that advice with, but I could tell you about the high school life about that if you're curious. But that's like an hour conversation on its own, and this video is already dragging along. So if you guys want to share your school experiences growing up, feel free to add a video or a comment, link it to this video. If you like this video, please subscribe, like. I know I sound desperate when I'm asking you to do that. There's way more in this game than walking around. There's missions like Grand Theft Auto, like this star mission here. This is a pretty good game. The only thing I don't like about this game is I hate following time, like limits, but that's any game. That's a pet peeve of mine. It's only a personal thing. Like, I hate it on games where it's like, come back to the store at so and so o'clock, it's closed. Grand Theft Auto does that a lot, and this is made by Grand Theft Auto. At least in like the Elder Scroll games, you can sit and meditate and have time pass by. You can't do this. You actually go through a whole school year on this. This is a really good game. You should try it. If you have it available, try the Xbox 360 version. The PS2 is probably the cheapest. And if you just have a Wii, you won't miss out on like anything if you play the Wii version. You just gotta put up with controls. So, Big Anonymous, BG Anonymous, I hope this was enough information for you. I ramble, but you expected that. You're a normal subscriber on the channel. But I hope you got some interesting facts out of all of this. And thank you guys for watching and putting up with me basically running around in circles while I was trying to answer my request about what was school like. So remember, kids, don't take high school too seriously. It's not the end of the world. Apply yourself, and don't be like me and be shy and not talk to people and like basically play catch up in college when basically everybody else has most of the experience, because that in its own right's a whole completely different story. But you don't want to play high school when you're older, because it puts you back a year or so. But yeah, definitely talk to people, apply yourself. There's stuff going on like literary magazines, stuff like that. Put it out there. Like, once I figured out what to do in high school, it was pretty fun. I had a good time. But that was in the 12th grade. It was too late, and like I said, I didn't really start taking advantage of things until when I started college or whatever, which I probably still need to finish, but I don't have a massive amount of funds right now. But none of you really need to know that, but I figured I'd share it anyway.
Maybe I should write a letter to Mom.
So I hope I answered some of your questions of what it's like going to a suburban, like American public school. So thanks for watching again. I am rambling so much on this video, but again, we'll say it's charm because there isn't a video without rambling. I had a video without rambling, but that was probably one of the ones that didn't record. So thanks for watching. Talk to you guys later, and feel free to request videos. And for you Big Anonymous or BG Anonymous, I hope this satisfied what you requested. Alright, take care, bye.